Welcome to Airshot Podcast. I'm your host, Jay. You're tuning in to the Verse Debut Podcast on this channel. Today we're going to get straight into it. Today we're going to talk about what's the difference between fear and being scared. Now that question honestly goes into a whole open-ended topic itself. You could say fear could be this, fear could be that, or being scared could be this or that. Everybody has a different opinion about what it is. But I want to ask you, and I want to know your opinion on what's the difference between having fear, and being scared. Now, my opinion on it, I think about having fear can be something deeply rooted into something that you had growing up, that you had going through a situation that could really, really traumatize you at an early age. Having fear can really, really go about a lot of things of really hindering your own success and hindering your own thought process and the way you go about things. Being scared is just a temporary feeling that you could really get over in a day or in a second. But it's honestly the type of mental blockade that you can have in a way if you really think about it. So I just necessarily want to ask you, what's the difference between fear and being scared? What's your thought process of it? It could be a lot of things. Now, I'm gonna tell you a story. So let's go to this story. Once upon a time, it was this boy. Now, his name was Miobe. Miobe was a scared Ethiopian kid. His family called him Miobe because it represents you being scared. So one night, Miobe had traveled throughout the whole village. He left his village and traveled to another village to conquer this fear. One night he slept under this whole big sky to really just ponder on his thought process on how he was going to conquer this fear. Throughout the night he heard wolves howling. And he knew that it was a sense of, okay, I'm about to die. But he had a good sense that he can overcome this fear. He said to himself multiple times he can overcome this fear. So throughout that night, he honestly made it through. He made it all the way through and kept walking throughout the village. Now, he got to the point where he found another village and he seen all these village elders. And this village elder told him that you don't belong here. Who are you? He said, my name is Miobe. I'm here to conquer this type of fear. Now, what Miobe didn't understand was fear wasn't necessarily a physical thing within itself. It always came within. It never ever goes into a person, a human being that you could be fearful. You're a human being at the end of the day. Fear of another person or another human being is non-existent. So back to the story. So Miobe had talked to this village elder, telling him he was ready to conquer this fear. The village elder said, I don't know what fear you're talking about. It doesn't exist. But there's a village monster over up on this mountain. Now Miobe didn't really understood, nor could he see this village monster. And this elderly man was telling him about how this village monster was big, red eyes, and just terrorizing the whole village. Kids couldn't go to school, plants couldn't be cropped, animals couldn't be taken care of because of the fear of a monster. Now keep in mind, these village people didn't necessarily see this fear. They just heard about it. So they painted a picture in their head. That's with them having that type of fear going into within itself. So Miobe seen that all these village people was honestly scared of nothing. And they pointed it to the direction of where this monster was at. It was up on this big high mountain, as you can see. So Miobe had took it upon himself to really take it matter into his own hands to conquer this monster. All the village people was like, what are you doing? You're stupid. What are you doing? So Miobe still said, no, I'm going to conquer this fear. Now laid away, it was this village young daughter, it was a granddaughter of the village elder woman. And she was trying to talk some sense into him and telling him don't go. Miobe didn't really necessarily want to listen because he had his goals, his mind set on it. When you have your mind set on something, no matter how scary or how very dangerous it is, you're going to do it no matter what. It's just whether you want to listen to that little voice in your head that's telling you don't do it because of how your emotional state is. It's honestly what you really want to do. So he still set away to conquer this so-called monster with this fiery eyes and dragon breath type of figure. So he climbed the mountain, and when he got to the top top of the mountain, he didn't necessarily see this village monster that everybody was describing it to him. You know what it was? It was a toad. A toad. Now, the point of me telling you this is that these people, these village people, had a certain type of image in their head about what fear was and what they only seen. It wasn't a thought, it was a feeling. It was only about words. Miobe took it upon himself to show you that yes, even though in the moment he was scared, temporarily, he still went out to conquer this type of fear. He took a toad, the toad that was all the way on the mountain, he took it down to the village and showed them that this is what you guys were afraid of. And they all praised him and said, man, what is this toad called? They called the toad fear. So the point of this story, I'm telling you, is that sometimes some things don't necessarily seem as scary as it can be. But if you let it hold on to you like a grasp, like a chokehold, it'll bring a certain type of uncomfortable feeling that you can't really get rid of unless you face it head on. It's gonna be scary. The road's gonna be tough. It's gonna be something that you never ever thought it could be. But once you get over that thought process of I can do it, I have the willpower and the mental focus to really do it, you can do whatever you really, really want to do. So this is my introduction podcast story. There's going to be a lot of other stories that I'm going to tell you that you probably will never even heard. But it goes into what the whole topic of this whole discussion is. So I'm going to ask you again, what is the difference between fear and being scared? There's a big, big difference. I want to hear your opinion on it. I thank you for tuning in. This is Airshot Podcast, episode 1. You guys have a wonderful day. Catch you later.